Hey guys! So this week our topic is inputs in Python. Hopefully you've already seen our post, and that post will be very helpful in telling you quite a few things, but it's hard to fully explain the concept of input in posts because it requires two sides of the conversation, which we'll see shortly. Over here on the left, this should look very familiar to you. We have the word Jake in quotes, which means it's a string type, and it's being assigned to the variable x. So in the program, anytime later that I print x, it will print the word Jake. In the next line though, I'm not only printing x, I'm printing hello in quotes, which means it's a string, which means it'll print it exactly as it is, and then comma and x out of quotes. The comma just says add this plus this, and then the variable x. We will actually play around this with this a little bit later, but this is just what it is right now. And so if we print this or run this, it will print hello Jake. Now if I want to change the name, let's say this program is for my friend Lainey, then if I run this, it will print hello Lainey, right? But there's actually another way to do this, and this is the way. On here, I have this statement. This should look a little familiar to you because of the post, but this is just asking, we have some familiar items here. We have x, which is a variable, the input, which we'll understand what it means shortly, and in quotes, what is your name, which is a string. Let's just run it and see what happens. Now, what it's doing is it's asking us for the name, us as in the person over on the receiving side. So if you put in the name Lainey, it will print hello Lainey. And did you see how it gave the same output as a previous statement, but now it asked the user for the name? And so now you might be wondering, what is the difference between this side and this side? Why would we choose one over the other? So when you have a computer, do pardon my terrible drawing, I'm using a mouse. So when you have a computer or a website, and usually sometimes the website asks you to input some fields, and those fields are name, email, and password, right? And so in there, when you type in whatever your name is, that's how it learns that that's your name. So this right here, this is being replicated right here. So see how this field is asking name issue? And this is the same thing that's happening here. The console is like the output, and this code right here is the back end. So the user who's using your program won't actually ever see this. They will only see what's in the console. And so you won't have time to ask them what their name is and put it in a variable. You will only have time to ask them what their name is. And so hopefully that makes sense. Now let's move on to the other thing that I talked about in the post, which was asking for a specific type of input. Now, let's say instead of this input, let's ask the user for a number. Okay, so this should work in the same way, we think, right? The user will give us a number, and it will print hello and that number, right? Let's see if that works. Yes, it did work. Now let's say, because normally we don't say hello to the number, we want to add or subtract or multiply with something. So let's say let's add to whatever number the user gives us. Yeah, we wanted to see 10, but we did not get 10. And if you look past the scary looking words in this error, you'll see that it's a type error, which means that x, you cannot add a string to a number. Remember, we talked about this in the previous type. So because you can't add a string to a number, you have to make x an integer. There are many ways to doing this. You can put it over here. You can make x an integer right here, and that will work. Or you can make x an input starting from the beginning. And that's actually a better practice, so you don't forget to do it later in the program. And that will work exactly the same. One last thing, it's a quick syntax thing. So right after the input, do you see how the number and the R have no space? So always whenever you're asking for an input, just put a space in between whatever, so you can have a cleaner input. Alright guys, I know this was a really hard lesson. Hopefully it's a little bit clearer for you. Feel free to ask us any questions by emailing us and or by DMing us. Thank you.